Hello, for this lesson we are talking about percents and equations, okay? So this one we're going to dive more in depth on how to solve for missing either percents or values using equations, okay? So in the past we've worked with solving percents, these problems with proportions, but now how do we solve them with equations? Because we're very much into learning a lot of different avenues, okay, and understanding a lot of different skills for these different problems, okay? So, how we would do this is, well, with this, I'm going to give you a little hint. Of is going to mean multiplication, okay? Is, that's going to be a hint for equal, okay? So we have these two little hints for us here. When we're setting up this equation, of is going to mean multiplication for us, and then is going to mean equals. Okay? So for this one, it's going to say what percent of 25 is 17? Well, guess what? I gave us some little hints. So I'm going to have that's a multiplication, that's 25, is equals 17, and then what are we looking for? What are we looking for needs to be represented by a variable, because guess what? It's what we're looking for. It's what we don't know. It's what could vary. So I'm going to use P. Okay? P for percentage. So, how are we going to solve this? Well, I'm going to rewrite this a little bit more concisely. Okay? So I'm going to write it as 25P equals 17. Okay, now, how did I get there? Because it looks slightly different. Okay, well, first of all, I used the commutative property of multiplication, saying that 25 multiplied by P equals 17. Okay, that's the commutative property, saying I can rearrange this multiplication problem. It will still be the same thing. And then the next thing I did was I eliminated that multiplication, because anytime a number is by a variable, that means multiplication. This means 25 times by P. So I just simplified it, made it more concise. From there, I solve it like I would in a one-step equation. Divide both sides by 25. I get P equals 17 divided by 25. Right, it's going to get us 0.68. Okay, but it wants to know what percent. So we need to use our skill for finding percents when we have decimals. And that skill, it just says move the decimal 2 spots to the right. So my answer is 68%. So make sure if they ask you what percent it is, make sure it's in percentage form. That's decimal form. Okay? But in order to solve these problems, actually decimal form is, when we're doing the algebra, decimal form is going to be better for you than percentage form. So we're usually going to have that percentage in decimal form, and then make sure if we need to find if it's a percentage, okay, then we'll turn it into that later. Alright, so it says find 325% of 52. Well, they don't have the is, so we need to make sure we understand this, okay? It says 325% of 52. Well, basically, what we don't know is, we don't know what this will equal. That's what we're looking for. We're saying, what is 325% of 520, or of 52? That's what find means. It means what is, this. So we could rewrite this as, what is 325% of 52? And turn it into that question and see, well, we have the is and we have the of. So let's use that is, let's use that of, and let's plug it in, okay? We know that is means equals. We know that 325%, well, I told you in example 1, when we're doing the algebra, I actually want in decimal form. So I'm going to turn it into decimal form. So 325% is equal to 3.25. Of means multiplication, 52, and for this one, we don't know what it will equal, so I'm going to write a variable, okay? I'm going to use x, because I like x. And for this one is actually really easy, because we don't even need to solve a one-step equation, because x is already isolated. All I have to do is find out, well, what is 3.25 multiplied by 52? So 3.25 multiplied by 52, that's going to get us 169. So x equals 169. Now, in problem 1, I needed to move the decimal and turn it into a percent. Am I finding a percentage in number 2? No. No, I'm not. So that is the answer, okay? 325% of 52 is 169. Okay, we're looking just for a number. And remember, 300, right? 300, it's over 3 times what 52 is. And so that makes sense because 3 times, let's use estimation, 3 times 50 is 150. Okay? So 325% of 52. That's going to make sense that it's getting significantly larger, right? It's over 3 times larger than the original number. Okay, number 3, it says 15% of n is 1050. What is n? Okay, so for this one, they defined a variable for us, okay? But they're just trying to change up how it looks and make sure we understand what we're doing. So 15%, remember, I want it as a decimal. Okay, so I turned it into decimal form. I moved it 2 spots to the left. Okay, of means multiplication. They've already defined my variable, which means I bring it down. Okay, is means equals 1050. Okay, I could write this more concisely if I wanted. Okay, and then I solve it like a one-step equation. Divide by 0.15. And then divide by. Okay, I get n equals 7,000. Okay, 50% of n is 1,150. Okay, well, 50% is a pretty small part of n, so it kind of makes sense that it's getting pretty large, right? 7,000 is significantly larger than 1,050, but 100% is significantly larger than 15%. Okay, so I hope these examples helped you with solving for percents and equations.